Welcome back. In this video, we will talk about a close cousin of the setTimeout function, and that's the setInterval function. So I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to delete all the code just so we have a nice clean slate. We've already talked about synchronous code, so here we go. So we have setTimeout, and we can put that for a 2-second delay. Just as a reminder, we run it 1, 2, and it shows up. Awesome. Now let's see setInterval. So setInterval looks almost identical. In fact, I'm just going to copy and paste this piece, and setInterval takes a callback and a number of milliseconds. I'm going to put 1000, and then I'm going to console log. This is on an interval. So let's see what happens when we run this code. So this is on an interval. There's our goodbye message. And you can see here that this is on intervals fired again, and this number's ticking up. And that's showing the number of console logs that is happening. So you might not be surprised that setInterval is like setTimeout, except it continuously runs this code on an interval, hence the name setInterval. So this code will fire this function every second, again and again and again, until infinity in this case, because I haven't set any sort of way to destroy, like stop this interval, versus setTimeout, which only fires once and then it's done. So this is a useful function for building something like a timer. Now let's do that real quick. We'll do a let seconds equals 60, and then we're going to open up our arrow function here so we can have more than one line, and we're going to say console log, which is a template literal, countdown t minus seconds, and then the actual word seconds. So we'll save that and kind of see this here. So you might say, oh, this isn't very impressive because we're just console logging the same thing. But if we expand our callback function to be a little more useful, we're basically going to set an interval that console logs this message, putting this value, this variable, in this string, and then decrements the number of seconds. So 60 will turn into 59, and watch what happens. Every single second, the timer goes down 1 second. So we're not, there's not like a fancy piece of magic that actually makes this happen. We have to do quite a little bit of legwork, right? We have to set the variable up, and then we have to write the message, and then we have to manipulate it. And if we had something different here, we'd actually don't get that effect of this going every second. So let's turn that into 100 milliseconds, and you'll see this going super fast. And then watch what happens. You know, nothing that computers do is magic. You have to make a lot of stuff happen and set up a lot of stuff on your own. So our brains intuitively think, oh, there's a countdown, it'll stop at 0. Well, no, the computer doesn't have any concept of a countdown, and that second should stop at 0. It's going to keep going forever. Negative numbers are a thing. And so here we are at negative blah, blah, blah. And again, we have this problem of it going forever. And this is actually not good for 2 reasons. 1, this probably isn't the intended behavior we have. And 2, this is a memory leak. What's a memory leak? It's code that's running and never stops. And so we don't clean up any sort of memory. And not a super big deal. But if you have a ton of memory leaks in your program, you will you'll see program slowdown or your browser crashes or whatever. And so how do we fix that? Well, setInterval, the function, actually returns an ID. So I'm going to save this, and we're going to turn this back to 1,000 so it doesn't go so fast. And you might be wondering, well, what's the purpose of this interval ID? Well, the interval ID is the actual ID for this interval in the browser. When this interval is set up, it goes in the callback queue and goes again and again. And what we can do with the interval ID is clear it at some point. So if we do clear interval and pass it the interval ID, this will actually be weird because it'll just break it. The timer will never actually fire because it gets set up here and then immediately torn down. So rarely do we ever do something like this. Very often we actually use the interval ID within the function itself, the callback itself, under some conditions. So now we have seconds, 60 seconds here, and rather than just only these 2 lines of code, we'll set the condition for which we want this timer to end. So we'll say, hey, if seconds is equal to 0, right? When the countdown reaches 0, we're done. We're going to clear that interval and pass it the interval ID. Now, for a particular effect, we probably want to put the seconds decrement down here. Otherwise, we won't see the 0. So let's do that one more time. Set this to 100 milliseconds to speed it up a bit and refresh. So it's going to go, 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 go. And eventually, sorry, it kind of split up a little bit there. It reaches 0 and the interval is cleared. And so that cleans up the callback queue. The memory leak is gone because it's no longer firing the callback. So that's how setInterval can be used to build a timer. And I know it probably wasn't super impressive inside of just a console log, but it's very easy to set up something on the DOM itself. So rather than console logging this message, let's do a quick bit of DOM manipulation. And inside here, we'll say h1.element.text content is equal to this string. And now, well, rather than having it be 60, let's just do 10. Now let's see what we get. Oop, of course it would help if I, what did I mess up here? I put a random L there. There we go. Oop, what else am I messing up? Oop, forgot to save my HTML. There we go. Mistakes happen. There we go. 9, 8, 7, 6, so on and so forth. And then it reaches 0, and that's the end of it. And so you can basically do whatever you want in this interval function. And you're going to expand on this idea for your assessment to build a little game and have some stuff happen. You just have to kind of think about when you want certain things to happen, and the assessment shouldn't be a big deal. Of course, if you have any trouble, reach out to me. I'm about to code up an example of what the assessment should look like, so you have a good idea of what you'll be coding, and it'll be great. So thank you for watching. This has been a gentle introduction into timers and asynchronous code, a concept that's going to be used for the rest of the course when we get into APIs and other cool stuff. And thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.